Tech Hub for a smarter you. Earlier on, Adora Nwodo, who is a software engineer, she works with Microsoft. She is so passionate about technology. She's so passionate also about women coming into tech and thriving in the world of tech. She came by our studios the other day and we had a very beautiful conversation. At least she's a proof that women is not just about being a face, a beautiful face. We've got something good upstairs that we can use. So our conversation moved from being a woman in tech and how women in tech are treated in Nigeria and in Africa, vis-a-vis the rest of the world. We moved to where Nigeria and Africa is as the world moves, as the fourth industrial revolution train leaves the station, and as the metaverse world comes into reality. Where is Africa and Nigeria? You know, in the midst of all this, a pretty beautiful conversation. You need to watch this interview, trust me.
So I got introduced to computers early on in my life. I was like 6, 7. I was like one of those children that I'm that kind of person that when you say don't touch something, that's when I'll go and touch it. So my dad brought a computer to the house, a PC back then, those very old big monitors. And it was supposed to be for my elder brothers because they were going to computer school. They were of age to go to computer school and learn how to be computer literate and stuff like that. So obviously when I see them playing with it, being an only girl, not having sisters to play with, I would go and play with them. And they were not playing with me anymore, they were playing with their computers. And I'm like, no, this is definitely not happening. So I told them to teach me how to play with the computers too. And then I got into that and realized that I really liked it. And because of that, I just really wanted to learn more about computers. So stumbled upon the internet, started trying to do things, and then I figured out that computing is fun. I don't know what I want to do in my life, but I want to end up in front of a computer. So because of that, anything that had computer in front of it in school, I took it upon myself to learn more. If I'm spending like 2 hours on my math textbook, I'm spending like 7 hours on a computer book. That's how it was at that time. Then from there, I was just very intentional, telling everybody that, oh, I want to do this thing. I found out about coding along the way because of all the many rabbit holes I jumped into on the internet. And at like primary 5, I was already writing codes to validate my math assignments. So I'll be one of those children that when you give them math assignments, I'll do the assignments, then I'll write code and then put in the numbers into the code that I wrote to check if the answer I got in my math assignment is correct.
I mean, you sound like you had a massive support from your parents, from your school teachers and people around you. Was that your case?
I had support from my mom. I had support from my brothers. I had support from like people around me as well, but not my dad because he wanted me to study law. So when I came, I said I wanted to press computer. He's like, no. And now it's funny how he is one of my biggest supporters, but at the time he was like, no, you don't do that. I don't know why, but...
So how were you able to get your dad in your corner?
I do what I want to do, to be honest. And at the end of the day, I feel like as a person, it is your life. So you have to take charge and do what you want to do. And the people that would want to support you would always come around. Initially, even when I chose to study, to do whatever I wanted to do with computers, he was still adamant on the law thing. And then at some point, he came on board. And when he came on board and I said, oh, it's computer science I want to get a degree in, he was shouting that no, it should be computer engineering because that would make you an engineer. And I'm like, no, it's science I want to do. And at the end of the day, even if you are still, at the end of the day, like one of my friends would say, you would never really get anything by shouting. So even if once in a while we'll get emotional and I'll be like, no, daddy, this is what I want to do. And I'll enter the room and bang the door. When you think about it, you would still come out and try to do research to back up. At the end of the day, they're your parents and they want the best for you. So do your research to back up and be more like, come with facts and be more logical so that when you're having a conversation with the person, like, okay, this is why I've chosen to do this, it makes more sense and they can support you from there.
Absolutely. So, as a software engineer, it sounds very alien to so many people. What exactly is your duty or your key responsibilities? And how does your responsibility impact everyday life of people?
As a software engineer, I write code, and the keyword, the word you mentioned that's very important there is impact. Because if you think about, I'm going to use an application that a lot of people use. So I'm going to use banking, for example. Even if I'm not in the fintech industry, but I'm just going to use banking for the sake of this. I write code, and because I'm able to sit in front of a computer, write a few lines, a lot of lines of code, actually, not a few lines, write lines of code, everyday people, are able to sit from the comfort of their homes, download a bank app, and do a transfer to somebody that needs money, instead of going to the bank and standing on a very long line, going to the bank by noon and not being able to leave till like 3. I'm writing code that uses technology to make a lot of lives easy. Even beyond banking, social media, for example, is how people have gotten their big breaks recently. You see people say, oh, I met this person on Instagram, now they've changed my life. Oh, I was on LinkedIn and I got this amazing offer, now I'm able to bring up my whole family from poverty. If people didn't come together and build these applications that allowed people to connect without borders, things like this wouldn't have been possible. So it's things like this that I do.
So your profile shows that you graduated with first class, and you have this, permit me to say, crazy love for mathematics. A lot of people run away from anything a tech-related role because of, they feel those guys are geeks and you need to know math like no other. Do you believe that?
I don't think you need to know math to work in tech, if I'm being honest. You might need to know math to be in some fields, which is normal. There's some fields that have, which is normal. There's some fields that have different requirements. But generally, to come into tech, I don't think that math is important. I don't think you have to be a geek. I'm not going to look at myself and consider myself a geek. I'm very far.
You are a geek.
Or rather, I don't look like it. When you look at me, you're not going to see, like that stereotype. Like they wear glasses, they always wear. I don't look like that one bit. But maybe, yes, you will call me a geek when you start having conversations with me. But I don't think that you need to know math. I know a bunch of software engineers that got into tech not even going through school, maybe through a boot camp, they took a course somewhere or something, and a lot of them aren't math geniuses and they're doing pretty well. So that shouldn't be anything that stops anyone from getting a career in this field.
So apart from being a techie, permit me to use that word, apart from being a software engineer, you also authored a book. Talk to us what the book is about and who the book intends to help.
The book is about cloud engineering. In my job, I build mixed reality. That's like AR, VR. If you've used Snapchat or Instagram filters before, you have in some way interacted with AR. So I build platforms that allow other people build AR on the cloud. And when I started that job, cloud computing was something that I got into there properly. I mean, I did a course on it in school. I knew a little bit about it, but I wasn't trying to build for the cloud or build with cloud in mind first initially. So when I got there, I struggled a bit. And I remember saying that, I'm going to be intentional about learning about the cloud. First of all, so they don't sack me. And then the next reason was, when I learn enough about it, I would like to teach this. At that time, I didn't know that I was going to write a book. I just thought, hey, I was going to teach it. Maybe I was going to write a series of articles on my blog, or I was going to do a YouTube series or something, but I know I was going to teach it. And then somehow one day it's just like, write a book about this thing. So it was just in my head. And I decided that I was going to write the book. So the title of the book is Cloud Engineering for Beginners, like the title implies. It is a cloud engineering book for beginners. So it introduces people to cloud computing, viable paths in cloud engineering, how you can navigate different cloud engineering careers, and things that beginners need to know to build a cloud engineering career. So it's for beginners, like if you're coming into tech and you're not in any tech field, you're just a beginner, like you're a new techie, like you said, then yes, you can read the book and it would help you understand computers and the cloud. If you are already in tech and you are looking to switch to a cloud field, then the book is also targeted at you.
You mentioned AR while you're speaking, and artificial intelligence really came to my mind. And the next big thing that is happening in the world of tech, which is Metaverse. What is your reaction or your take on Metaverse? Because it's to some people it feels like this is getting out of hand. Is it controllable? What is going to happen? You're creating a world of your own. It's taking human emotions away from human and planting people in a world of their own. So there's this disconnection or disconnect that's going to happen, and all boatload of challenges that will come with that.
I'm particularly excited about the metaverse because I work in that space for the most part. But the truth is, sometimes when we try to solve problems, we create more problems. And I guess that's where you're coming from. But I think that with this technology, it's about giving people the ability to connect and collaborate with each other, to interact with each other beyond any borders, right? So one of the most important things, or one of the most interesting things about this for me is, if I'm looking at it from a corporate perspective, if I were to be in the metaverse as maybe somebody that works in Lagos, and I have people in my team working in Bayelsa, I have in Enugu, I have in Abuja, and we have a big meeting, why are we paying for a flight to come together to a place to meet for 30 minutes and go, when I can just wear a headset and it looks like we are all in the same place? We have that meeting in the metaverse and then we come out. So
sorry to interrupt you, but there's going to be a problem of identity and identity theft. That has been a very big issue that people have been, people in tech and stakeholders, activists have been bothered about, where a computer takes everything about you. That's what basically is going to happen. Takes everything about you. So there's this issue of identity theft and the problem that comes with it.
That's like you said, it's a security problem, and that's why cybersecurity experts exist, to be honest, to make sure that this information existing on the cloud or existing on the internet doesn't it's going to attract hackers, because hackers are everywhere. They're looking for your data because they want your money. But their job is to make sure that regardless, you are going to be safe. And that's why there are a bunch of, security experts. There are different regulations. In the EU, for example, you have GDPR policies helping with that and stuff like that. And also, I think it's also important to educate people generally that, oh yes, this is the internet, but it's a place where you can interact and share, but it's not as safe a space as you think it is.
These are real issues. Now, the world seems to be moving 10 times faster. You see innovation that's supposed to take place in 2 years happening in 2 months. Where does Africa, especially Nigeria, stand in this? I must put into consideration the fact that, of course, so they had a chip issue, chip scarcity in the world of tech, and the U.S. government, huge Korean companies and others were putting in so much money to ensure that, they don't lag behind in this, because these are very important elements in creating tech. Africa is not saying anything about this. Africa is not doing anything about this. Importation of digital devices, smart devices, importation of tech is crazy, and we keep doing that. The world is moving so fast. It seems Nigeria and her counterparts in the region are being left behind. As a woman in tech who even works with, a foreign organization, how does that make you feel, and how do we get out of this rut?
How does this make me feel? I don't want to say sad, but I can't think of any other word to use at this point, because if we're thinking about tech and we come to this region, there's the talent. However, there are a lot of infrastructural issues, and there are a lot of issues beyond infrastructure that would even limit people that decide that they want to build to build. So you see things, you see situations where people are starting to build, and when they hit a certain level, when they hit a certain milestone, they are no longer now building for here or building here. They go outside and continue to build because they've overgrown what exists here. Because even if you try to build here, only one person cannot carry the whole of Africa along. And if as one person you want to carry Africa along, but Africa doesn't want to be carried along, what do you do? So it's a very complicated situation. I think that what needs to happen is that we need to keep re-educating these people. And in some way, I think that they are beginning to see it, right? I think that not only about the infrastructure challenges as well, some policies as well, making it hard for people to build, the condition of living, because I'm going to go back to tech talents, for example. Tech talents, right? They're here, they're building, they get experience. The rest of the world is building tech at a very fast pace. So because of that, software engineers are like hot cake everywhere. And they're like, why can't I just go to somewhere that nobody will stress me? And then the person that's now supposed to build here is going to build tech infrastructure somewhere else.
Why is that happening?
Because like I said, there's the living issue, which is like, there's the living issue, and there's the fact that this one is nobody's fault, to be honest, but like the companies that exist, making money, are not, like, I don't know if you're in Nigeria, so you're doing business in Nigeria and making money in Nigeria, and then somebody abroad offers a software engineer to do the same work a lot more than you're offering them, and it's like, I have no loyalty to you, I'm sorry. So they pack their bags and then they relocate, and then they meet, and then they leave.
I mean, this is an awesome conversation. As a woman practicing in tech, what are your hopes for tech in Nigeria, and even for girls who want to come into the profession, and for women who are actually doing good with tech? What kind of encouragement do you want, them to have going forward?
My hopes for tech in Nigeria would be to see more profitable tech businesses and more unicorns as well come out of this region. That would be very nice. That would make me more proud. To see more women in tech as well doing amazing things. And now it's happening. You see people like First Check Africa, First Check Africa is like a community that is trying to back, women-led tech businesses. You see She Code Africa as well, trying to help more women get into tech by mentoring them, training them, organizing events for them. And I feel like if you're a woman and you're trying to get into tech at this point in Nigeria, there's support for you. All you need to do is find one of these communities and join them.
I do hope we can have a subsequent conversation, because this is an unending one. Thank you so much for making it to Tech Hub.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tech Hub, for a smarter you.